Welcome to another episode of March Challenge of the LockedIn community. And today we have Soumili to introduce us about her experience and journey of building the Sukoon Within. Welcome in, Soumili, and feel free to give a quick introduction of yourself.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. This is Soumili Das. And before I start with my presentation, I would like to give a quick intro about myself. I'm a 16-year-old high schooler studying PCM in India. Alongside being the founder of a youth led mental health organization called the Sukoon Within, I'm also researching on the intersection of AI and mental health with the people from MIT, Stanford, etc., as well as with international robotics teams. I'm also training AI systems to teach them emotional intelligence in a student focused wellness system. I founded my first notebook brand when I was 14, ended up selling 200 plus notebooks and also gaining high profits. Now, today, I'll be sharing tips and tricks on how you can create your own first nonprofit, just like I did before turning an adult, with as limited resources as possible.
Hmm. Okay, yeah, thanks for the introduction. And let's get straight into the TED Talk. Go for it.
Thank you so much.
And yep.
Okay, so now my journey with the Sukoon Within, or TSW in short, started with my own personal experiences. So when I was in seventh grade, I had my first friendship fight or something like that, and also ended up fighting with my own family members day and night. This was like really new to me, and that is when I realized that I was going through something known as depression, and I was shocked to have not been aware of this term before. I researched more about this and realized that mental health issues are actually really serious, but it is chosen to be ignored in 99% of the cases. I scheduled call with therapists, tried talking to my parents, but all they told me was to ignore these issues rather than solving it at the first place. This thing struck me that why not go into the depth of the problem instead of ignoring it in the first place? That cause help solve that that could help solve a million of serious problems that end up causing chronic damage. So this is where the idea of the Sukoon Within was born. TSW is an organization that aims to teach young children into finding solutions of their mental health issues in order to prevent student suicides and harmful addictions amongst today's youth. Focusing on the underprivileged community was actually the right idea since they are the ones who are most vulnerable to these issues, but ironically, they are the least getting access to mental health supports. Now, what I was amazed by was that how one single event of my life changed the way I thought about mental health forever. It not only made them get another chance in life, but also taught me about leadership values and always taking the first step when helping someone out. Now, for building an organization, the first thing which is required is a group of people who have the same motive as yours. Well, this was really difficult for me since I was unable to find any friends or family to contribute in this mission of mine. Thankfully, for days and nights, I kept on sharing about my initiative via many WhatsApp channels as well as social platforms like LinkedIn and Instagram. And I must add that I got my first volunteers from LinkedIn itself. I will request you all that if you guys don't see any results within weeks or months, please do not give up since it took me literally 2 months to get the best members for my team. Then comes lack of access to resources, and this is where again I would say starting from the first hand. Here I connected with other non-profit founders and learned from them how I can continue with this organization. I shared my motive with them and they helped me shape it little by little in order to create a well-shaped organization as it is now today. Apart from that, those non-profit founders also helped me know how I can get in more volunteers. I self-learned about how to reach out to other NGOs for collaborations, partnerships, and taught my own volunteers their own roles so that they become fluent with it. Pretty much tough work, but that was all worth it. Now, this is where all my hard work paid off. I used to take a lot of time in building this organization, and at one point, I even lost hope from it since I was not getting the right volunteers, and it used to take me day and night. But then again, I kept on doing it because I knew that my motive was actually meant to do something better, and that is one thing which I learned from building a nonprofit, that the problem which you're solving has to be something which has a real world impact. You cannot take a random problem and just build about it for like 5 to 6 days and then just forget about it and continue with their other work. I knew that mental health issues were really serious, and I had seen my own friends going through it. I had seen my own family members going through it. I had seen millions of students taking their own lives because they could not afford therapies or like did not have any much awareness about what they were going through. And that is when I started overcoming my barriers and started focusing on the problem. Now, as I said, all my hard work paid off, and within 3 months only, I was able to connect with more than 50 volunteers from all across the world, be it in India, Dubai, Turkey, etc. Conducted more than 10 active sessions globally, introducing the solutions backed by impactful research work, and helping students learn from go-to activities, not any old school method. And also ended up impacting and touching lives of more than 1,000 young children worldwide, teaching them emotional self awareness and finding solutions to their own problems. This situation also helped me show my real leadership skills in room of thousands of other non-profit founders, I being the youngest of all. Now, here is the structure of my organization. We have researchers who research about prevailing mental health issues and share solutions regarding that. After that, the volunteers use the solutions and create it into an active session and take up the session with the young children, thus impacting lives of many, many children. This model has helped me gain more proper volunteers with defined roles and hence more positive feedbacks. So once building a non-profit, one must know that when you're building it, they should have a proper structure on how they will recruit the volunteers, how will they do their role, and how will they, do the work so that, you get the positive results and positive feedbacks. One must also learn how to outreach to the other NGOs for collaborations as well as partnerships so that you can share your motive as much as you want and expand to the right people, hence helping more and more children or any other age group which you are helping. Now, obviously, with great power comes great responsibility. I faced a lot of challenges, and out of which the most common ones that I wasn't taken seriously by many other adult founders. Why? Maybe I don't know, but what I believe is that because I was young, not even had graduated from my high school, I was doing more than what the other children of my age could do. This created a lack of trust amongst many senior nonprofit founders since for them I wasn't educated enough into starting my own organization. Again, the resources were really limited, but we started from step one into raising funds for the right resources and compromising some of our own needs into providing the best platform for the young underprivileged children who were in a need of the education and sessions we provided. Expanding rapidly was difficult too because of all these issues, but we managed that by taking baby steps at a time instead of doing promotions and advertisements all the time. We built real trust and growth into making this movement well known. Hence, after overcoming all these challenges, I was able to provide best education to these young children. Something I could only dream of and something I had never seen any other adult founder do so. The research was packed with proofs and evidences. The volunteers were supportive enough. The NGOs we collaborated with helped us get to know more about these children whose lives were impacted through these simple yet vital sessions. However, there were still challenges prevailing, and maybe in the middle as well, I was losing some of my volunteers. Some of the volunteers had lost trust from me. But what I learned was that it's all about the journey which you learn from. You don't have to be really skilled enough into building a nonprofit. And I don't think so. Most of the nonprofits, which are like really well known in this world, were not started by people who were like really skilled enough, but those people who had a motive and who wanted to help the world by providing real solutions and real impact to the young children or the any other age group they were helping. And this is how I learned that this was the first place ever where I used my actual leadership skills. And that is something that is probably the best achievement of my life rather than all my international olympiads which I won, the sports competitions which I have won, and all the council member things which I had done. This was one of the best things which I had done, and like it's always more valuable than valuable for me compared to other things which I had done. Now, this is where I had already set up my own organization. I was well known amongst many other people via LinkedIn, Instagram, and WhatsApp channels as well. And I was getting in more and more volunteers to help the young children. And I was impacting lives throughout this country as well as globally. So, as we move forward, the Sukoon Within, or TSW in short, is continuing to grow and expand its impact through more research and awareness around mental health issues. The goal is to understand these challenges better and create meaningful ways to support people. Building the organization has honestly been one of my greatest personal achievements and something I'll never regret doing. In a way, even the difficult experiences and the moments when I felt alone pushed me to create something meaningful, impactful, and helpful for the children. And I'm grateful that those challenges helped me build not only the Sukoon within, but also helping me build more and more upcoming ideas and show my real leadership skills to many other people. And thank you so much for the
Thank you, Soumili. That's really great. I love to hear like every time I come on to like these live streams, love to hear about more people's story. And yeah, before I remember we had a chat like in I think in December, like early
yeah,
January, something like that.
exactly.
And I remember like because myself I'm in like solace as well, and Sakun within Sakun, the word really connotated with like comfort, and it's basically just um like a sanctuary for places where you can just be relaxed and just be yourself. So I think that what you're doing here is like just really impactful, and as you mentioned in the just now, like how mental health is not going to stay like for 1 year or two, but it's going to be an ongoing issue. And I think, to be honest, like people who are working about mental health have all been like the victims of themselves, so that's why they're trying to be like make an impact, or like to change and to let people to like not go through what they have, I would say stuff like that. And um yeah, so let me go through the slides and see what
I mean, exactly what you said was actually true. And one thing which you mentioned that people who are working in the mental health are those victims who have placed them themselves. I mean, what I believe is that everyone has gone through these issues, but then there are some people who would not take it seriously. They would be like, oh, it's just a random thing. I'm just feeling low. But then there are some people who we are not aware of. Maybe it's not our friends or like our family members, is maybe they are those other children who are like of our age itself, but they keep on facing these problems. And many of the
hmm
people, like, I don't know about other places, but in India a lot of people actually face mental health issues, but like since therapies are so expensive here, they cannot,
exactly.
yeah, they cannot afford it. And they just fall into issues. And many other parents, such as I mentioned, or the reason why I'm working with underprivileged communities, because those parents, they cannot be dependent on them, as their parents have to work 9 to 5 in order to provide for the family. And
hmm
sometimes their parents themselves do not know how to help them out or something like that. So these children just face into these issues, and obviously again they cannot afford therapies or any other mental health support. So, and many regions of India, like I have seen many other organizations which are working on mental health and stuff, but they barely get into working with young children. And even if they do, they do not connect with them for a long time. So what I'm trying to face is, like, I'm trying to clear is that I keep the connection for a long time. I help them to find the solutions instead of them themselves just doing random things. So, like, just helping them grow into better human beings and more emotionally mature people.
Yeah, definitely. And as you mentioned, like especially in the community you're in the India community, I would say a lot of people, like especially like teenagers, high schoolers, they have a lot of like I know India exams are at another level similar to the China Gaokao.
Yeah.
And for Hong Kong, I would say it's like less, much less stressful compared to the Gaokao or like the India exam, because I heard like it's like the same level, but
JEE
like
needs
super extent.
UPSCs. They are like, it's like when a child is born, they are like, they have a dream that they have to clear this exam in order to get these colleges and stuffs. So people, children as young as in grade sixth or seventh, they start preparing for these exams. And so it's like pretty much, stressful for them. And that is the reason why. And again, it's not only academic pressure, it's pressure from the family, from their relatives, from the entire society, that they have to prove themselves that they can do this. And once they fail to do that, or even if they complete or clear that exam, then comes the college life and other pressure. The pressure to constantly prove yourself that you are among the best. That is the pressure and the mindset which is making them fall into more and more troubles, and that is why. And again, there's a serious misconception that therapies or any other mental health support is only for people who are psycho or something like that, which I would love to clear once again. It's not for only psycho people or people who are not mentally well. It's for everyone. I mean, everyone should have that kind of support where they give their mental health a bit of rest, support their mental health. And people are just so serious about their physical health, they barely forget that their mental health is a thing. And one thing is that people who are actually fit are those people who are physically and mentally healthy. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to take care of your emotional well-being as well, because you never know what happens the next day if you're not taking care of it, or finding solutions for it.
Yeah, definitely. And like for me, like recently I'm learning about like psychology in my school course, and there's a really interesting study that I want to bring up. It's like called Kleinman or something, and his study
Yeah,
was about something called somatization. It's
heard
how
about it.
like different like regions and the culture you're surrounded would decide how you express mental health issues. So like if you're feeling stressed or like very unwell like mentally, a lot of the like people from individualistic culture or like such as US or like Europe, they would be like voicing out their sadness like through the like direct like telling you, oh, I'm feeling unwell, I'm feeling a headache. But however, from like a bit more of like in the collective side, collectivist culture, such as like China, like India, they're like there's a culture norm which causes them to like express these kind of mental unwell into like a headache or like just like a physical pain instead of like that. It's like just this study just tells me how like the mental health awareness is not importance, like the significance is not raised enough yet. And I think what
Exactly.
you're doing is like really addressing this mental health issue, and with how you're gathering like all the volunteers and doing especially in-person events, I think this is something incredible, and we all should
Exactly.
like
I mean,
really
that
do
is
that.
what I've seen. People are like not, even if we have a lot of mental health organizations and stuffs, I believe that mental health is not yet that kind of a topic yet. Like, if you just go, like, there are some families, and if you just go and tell them that you're feeling anxious, you're feeling depressed, then they will be, just either blame it on your social media accounts, or like just blame it on you.
Mm,
But they wouldn't just tell you, okay, it's okay that you're facing like that and that and that, and you can just do this or that instead. So
mm,
it's like a social taboo yet, that people are not able to express themselves emotionally and understand their emotional well-being. And that is something which I feel like should be a serious matter, like a matter that should be taken upon. Because at the end of the day, everyone goes through that age where they feel that it's time for them to get their emotional well-being done and
yep,
stuff. So,
yep.
like, they barely do that and just fall into issues. So that is why I feel like it's something that should be taken up. And there are some people who feel like these mental health topics and all are just boring, or it's useless. They will believe that hitting on gym like
Mm,
5 to 10 times a day is better than taking care of their mental well-being. So what I believe is that you just have to understand that you are having an issue, and it's totally completely okay that you are feeling down and you're feeling lonely, even if you have people surrounded by your side. It's completely okay, because at the end of the day, every one of us are human beings. So like, every one of us
mm,
facing issues, and every one of us needs some kind of support. And that is why we believe, like, I believe that mental health should be a serious matter which should be taken upon.
mm-hmm. And like I think last few weeks, I don't know who sent me something about Andrew Tate exactly on the mental health. And I remember the reel is something about like Andrew Tate is saying mental health is fake. No, like mental health is just people who are being weak. But I think he's a bit too extreme. But I think he got some points which is like mental health is a feeling. So like it's a feeling that would either break forces you to get into like a flight or fight mechanism. Either you fight it or you just basically you hide from it. And if you hide from it, that's like what would like backfire you in like long run. And I think although he's like very extreme on the take, I would say like there's something that I didn't look at this perspective before. Because before, like the normal way I see it is like if you are feeling unwell, you should like talk to people, like you should like go to a therapist, and this is like kind of the flow. But right now I'm thinking like it's just new different perspectives. I'm not sure if you have seen that reel.
Yeah, I don't think so. I've seen that reel, but like, what I would like to add on as well is that people who don't believe in mental health education stuff. They're like, that mental health is like this, and they don't believe in that. So I would like to add on, like, for example, if a doctor is doing his work and if he's like not emotionally present at that moment, and like maybe he's conducting a surgery, so like if he's not emotionally present, if he's only lost about the thoughts about him being depressed or something like that, then obviously that surgery won't go well. Same with engineers, lawyers, and any other, even founders, CEOs, and as well. If you're like not
Mm,
putting in your focus in your work just because you're not doing mentally well, how do you expect to have a positive outcome? Have an impactful outcome. So that is why mental health is a part of our daily life, and we should just accept the fact that we can fall mentally weak. It's not something which is like really rare or something like that. Everyone I have talked to has fallen in one troubles, and maybe you have as well, maybe I have as well, maybe many people we know have as well. And there are like really few who I see are accepting these issues rather than many people acknowledging them. So what one should do is that acknowledge these issues more and more, so that as soon
you
as
have
you
to acknowledge them. Yeah.
acknowledge, that is where you're making the first step into understanding yourself. And once when you get to understand yourself, what I believe is that once a person understands their mental well-being, they are able to like do anything in the world. They are just understand themselves and do anything, may be it something else or something which is not of their field as well. They will be able to do it once they understand themselves and understand their own emotional well-being. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, I would say like for people, you just need to start the first step. If you feel watching this video and you're like feeling a lot of times like you don't know what's happening, and yeah, these are like overwhelmed, a lot of like falling into the extremes of like you're like in the, again, like I always use this analogy, you're in the two extremes. You're in the like not mentally severe, but at the same time you don't feel perfectly fine. Then you like it's normal, like acknowledge this, and then like just see, talk to a friend. And I would say one of the best ways to overcome like sadness and it's just really talking to more people. And no,
Exactly.
like just, and then a lot of the things like this, cortisol is the stress hormone. And how do you reduce it is by like, I would say like you can reduce it, but you can counterbalance it with positive hormones such as endorphins. So just go for a walk, have some nice do something you actually like, learn to self-love. And these are just some key things you can do. And yeah, one more question I got for you, Soumili, before we wrap this up, would be like in this like the challenges you faced. So especially like being like a locked in like the founding locked in, I would say we actually have a very resource limitation. It's only the start. It's just only me and Ben and Hunter, and we have a lot of stuff to do with. So I want to know how you like, and like you're basically like one person organizing the whole thing, and you're like pulling all the strings, you're organizing like who is doing what. So how do you manage your time, and how do you like a bit more behind the scenes of how like NGO works, like would love to know. Like you have events as well, so.
Okay, so obviously, if you're a single person who is managing the entire thing, so it's totally, just, you're not able to manage it with your entire school life. So what I did was, like, when I started with this, I used to miss on all my school stuff. So like I used to go to the school next day and they would start teaching a random topic and I would be like, oh my god, what is this? Like I used to miss on my subjects. So that is when I realized, okay, I cannot continue with this. So one thing which I believe that this skill should be in, like, everyone should learn this skill, and this is the only skill which I believe should everyone should have in order to master everything, is that time management. One should know when they should manage their time and where their time is going. So what I noticed is that back then when I was actually building that, I had a really bad scrolling habit. So I would just open my Insta and I would scroll for like 2 to 3 hours continuously.
Mm-mm.
So once when I started building TSW, I realized that, okay, I have to manage my time and schedule into things. So I used to give this much amount of time for my school studies, and then I used to focus on these works. And again, as I said, that I initially started reaching out on LinkedIn and stuffs. So I used to share my post and stuff. So what I noticed is that there is a particular time being when people used to engage the most with my posts. So for me, it was like 5 to 7 p.m. or something like that. So I always used to ensure that I used to complete my school work before this given amount of time
Mm-mm.
period. And then I used to do my work, my TSW work in this given time period, because again, as I said, I used to get the maximum engagement around this time. And then I used to get in my volunteers, and I used to like work a lot, reaching out to random people and telling them that this is my organization. And okay, many of us will be facing rejections as well, but I believe that one should not be demotivated by the rejections. One must learn that, okay, if this method did not work, there may be another method by which I can reach out to other people, so that they get impressed and I can get the volunteers as soon as possible. So the two things which I ensured was that I had that time management thing, that I used to manage it,
Mm-mm.
and then get into my work at that time. And second thing is that doing the hard work, you need to do it. You can't just expect people
Exactly.
to get to know more about you rather than just sharing more about it. So yeah, it does take a lot of time, and one must learn that this is how you can like get into these stuffs and get more and more people into your organization. So these two methods actually did wonders for me, and that is how I got to know a lot of volunteers. Like, I'm like really grateful for my volunteers and the people who are working with me in a team, that they actually gave their time into building this organization. And honestly, I would not have expanded it as much as it is now if they weren't have been there. So like, thank you so much to my volunteers once again.
Okay, gotcha. And especially to be honest, I'm really aligned with you, like these two values: time management. Oh shoot, we have a fire alarm, and I hope it's not a show. Come on. Okay, okay. Sorry guys, I have to hop off, but thank you so really
Thank
for
you.
joining.
Take
Time
care.
management, and okay, guys, have a nice one. See you until the next one. Bye bye.
Okay, bye. Take care.